What's up, guys? My name is Justin. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are back on Gran Turismo 4 for another car story, and today we are going to be talking about one of my favorite cars ever, but a car that kind of gets forgotten and underlooked at personally, I feel, and that is the refreshed 2004 to 2006 Pontiac GTO. So let's fire it up, do a nice launch, and then we'll talk about it. So this car comes in Impulse Blue Metallic, as you've seen before, and again, this was when I was a kid, at least, one of my dream cars, and the reason for that being it made an appearance in the 2005 hit movie, or maybe not hit movie, but movie Herbie Fully Loaded with Lindsay Lohan, Matt Dillon, others. Um, what's that dude's name? The dude that was Batman. Forgetting his name right now, Michael something. And Michael Keaton. How could I forget that? Anyways, I don't know this track, so we're going to be going slow here for a little while. But this car was one of my dream cars. It appeared in one of the opening scenes of that movie in a kind of drag race, essentially, with Herbie. And I fell in love with it just because it looked so cool. It was such a special car. I didn't know what it was. And I guess prior to that, in Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2, as I've talked about plenty of times, the HSV Coupe, which was obviously the Australian Holden kind of version of this car that became the Pontiac GTO, was in that game, and I thought it was terrible in that game. Honestly, it's one of my least favorite cars, but just the look of it and how it looks when it came to America in 2004, I thought was incredible. It looks awesome. I was never a huge fan of, again, classic muscle cars, but I knew the old Pontiac GTO, the Judge, of course, from what 1969 or 1970 is a pretty iconic car. So definitely was familiar with it and knew about it, but didn't really understand it until this car. And of course, this car went through a lot of changes, even though it was only a 3-year life cycle. For 2005 and 2006, they added nostrils to the hood on the hood inlets just to give it a little bit more cooling, because they found that it had a tendency, if pushed really hard, to overheat. It also got dual exhausts for 2005 and 2006. This car, of course, you can see they're just a single double pipe exhaust. I guess dual meaning out both sides of the bumper. So just minor changes. And then for 2006, it got kind of the ever-present kind of smoked or clear, depending on how you look at tail lights. Which I think, again, looked very, very cool. A 2006 kind of dark blue Pontiac GTO, like the C5 that we talked about last week, was high up on the bucket list for cars that I wanted to have someday. It was special, it looked incredible, sounded great, and I thought it was just the coolest thing ever, so I was all in. And yeah, that was kind of my story. Fortunately, again, I've had an opportunity to drive one of these, only one, unfortunately, but I loved it. But it reminded me why it is what it is. Of course, this car in 2004 had the LS1 from the C5 Corvette, and then for 2005 and 6 was upgraded to the LS2 with 400 horsepower from the C6 Corvette. And it was just quite a special, incredible car, but it's a very unique car. Again, it was kind of tamed a little bit because it was the Australian Corvette. And so they didn't want to compete against the Corvette, the C5 or the C6, and so they toned it down a little bit and didn't make it quite as special as it could have been. They were very heavy cars just because of what they were. They are known for kind of rear suspension sagging and bushing failure and just eating up bushings and suspension bits because they are quite heavy, but they are quite comfortable. They're incredibly well known for being great cruisers, great luxury kind of muscle cars, and being able to eat up highway miles without any issue at all. They also had some weird things where, because of U.S. safety regulations, they had to move the fuel tank, which would in Australia or other countries be, or the import market technically for us, but where it just came from for this car, Australia, and that like the fuel tank was essentially like right behind the rear seats, and that didn't pass U.S. safety regulations, so they had to move it like over the rear axle, kind of like in the trunk, and so the trunk space wasn't nearly as big as you'd think it would be, unfortunately, just because they had to make that change for the U.S. market. But nonetheless, still a special car to me. Again, no longer something I ever desired to own, simply because of all the issues that you might have. It's very expensive to get parts for because it was a short model run and because everything was manufactured in Australia. Incredibly difficult to get parts for it, incredibly expensive to maintain and insure. And again, because Pontiac is defunct now, of course, it's really, really hard to actually find someone that knows or is qualified. That was terrible. That knows or is qualified to service these cars. Of course, they're 90 or 75, 80% like any other GM car from the period, as far as this LS1 engine again, or LS2 if you get a later car. Again, similar suspension, similar everything, but at the same time, there's nothing quite like it. So you never know for sure that any tech or mechanic that you are going to for this car has worked out before. And again, everything kind of being expensive to maintain, expensive to insure, makes it a very, very, very hard car to own. And last but not least, there's some wiring, I guess, in the glove box or in the trim in the compartment somewhere, that there's a fuel line, I guess, that has a tendency to wear down because it's rubbing against something. I forget what exactly, a manifold or something is rubbing, and so it cuts a hole in the fuel line. It leaks kind of behind the glove box in that area, I believe, and literally lights the thing on fire and they burn to the ground. So that's not something you want, especially in a car collection. So I think that most people that own these and preserve these, they don't get out too much, because again, it's not the flashiest thing ever. Most people don't really know what it is or recognize it for how special it is, but it was one of my first car loves, and that makes it special and important to me. So yeah, let me know what you think about it. Let me know if you grew up and watched that movie and had a similar love for this car, or the C6. It was also featured in that movie as well later on. Let me know, again, if you played it in other racing games. I'm sure this, again, appeared in other racing games, other Need for Speed games. I know it was in later on, Project Gotham games, etc. So let me know what you think. Let me know if you have an affinity for this car, if you hate this car because of what it is. Of course, if you're foreign from Australia, New Zealand, anything like that, you guys have the Holden Commodore and the Holden Monaro, and I think this was what, a Monaro. But regardless, you have all sorts of kind of cars like this that are essentially this car, but with slight modifications. Let me know what you think of it. Let me know how they're looked at, 20 years later in kind of their birthplace. And let me know if you enjoy it and enjoy this video. So I appreciate you all so very much. I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope you're still enjoying these car stories. I have, like I said, a handful to go, like 6, 8 to go somewhere in there. I have a list somewhere, but I don't have it on me. But I just love making them. I love recording them. I love getting to talk about cars. And like I said last time out, we are well and truly now into the cars that I have a lot of personal connection and stories to, and could talk for days and hours if I just went on and on. But I'm not going to do that to you all. So I just covered the high points and the kind of the highlights. So yeah, we got a handful more to go, and again, they're all very, very special cars to me and things that I have a lot of personal connection with. So I hope you're still enjoying them. I hope you're still finding them entertaining and fun to talk about. And again, I'm still enjoying getting to play through some of this Gran Turismo 4 game that I didn't get to play as a kid. So it's been really cool to experience some of these cars and tracks for the first time. And big thanks to Will for the recommendation and the suggestion to give this game a whirl. So I'm really, really enjoying it, and I'm thankful that you all are coming along for the ride with me. So that's going to be it for me. I appreciate you all so much. Make sure you drop that like, sub down below. Don't want you to miss anything else, again, from Gran Turismo 4, more car stories, iRacing content, Camaro content, track day content, anything else I do, other racing games. And that's going to be it for me. So I appreciate you all so much. Until next time, as always, bye-bye.